Failures, failing, being a failure, looking in the mirror and saying, man, I am a failure, being told you are a failure. These are things that we constantly hear every single day. Maybe it's from words of other people, or maybe it's words that rehearsed within our own lives and our own mind. And it's with this understanding, this thought, this conviction, or this mental assent or standard that we have created for ourselves that keep many of us standing at the background of our purpose, looking for our destiny from afar, being comfortable in place of compromise because failure is coaching us to stay still. You have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to yourself. Failure is part of life. Failing is part of life. You have to get up and keep trying. I don't know what you've been aspiring for or to do. I don't know what you desiring to do, but it's time that you pull yourself up, pull yourself up from the bootstrap, dig your heels in the sand and contend and fight and war, because failure is not an option. You're like, man, how can you say failure is not an option? Failure has always happened. I believe that true failure happens. The ultimate failure happens when you keep trying. Listen, making mistakes, that's part of life. It's part of your journey. It's part of your dream. Every artist didn't create a masterpiece after their first try. The automobile wasn't created without trial and error. Failure is simply part of life. And if you would allow failure to be the chisel that molds and shapes you. You can allow failure to be the place of preparation, the petri dish where your giftings are growing, or the guild where your actions are being honed in. And you can allow failure. You can allow failure to be your teacher. So you have a choice. You have an opportunity. You have a moment in your life right now. Why? Because I believe I'm talking to you. You have allowed failure to be your permission slip to sit back, to point at other people, to judge other people, and say, well, if I only had what they had, if I only started with what they started with, my mom and dad was only this, if I only had this amount of money, you would find yourself, you would allow insecurities to be your motivation or your motivator, and failure to be your teacher. You can look back you can sit down at the comfortability of life, looking through social media on Facebook, being a keyboard warrior in someone else's dreams, killing someone else's hopes because you deemed it impossible, because you allow failure to be a permission slip to stop trying. You're not a failure if you keep trying, but you're a failure if you sit down and think, well, what's the point in trying now? I tried before. Then try again. Try again. Get up. Go back to school. Go back to college and try again. I did a vlog about a week or so ago, and I talked about the difference between impossible and difficult. And if you cannot determine the vast difference between something that is impossible and something that is difficult, then you will live the rest of your days straddling that fence. Just because something is hard doesn't mean it's impossible. Just because something is difficult doesn't mean it's impossible. And you have allowed those words to be your thumbs up to not try. Listen, effort is part of life. The grind is part of life. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. So are you all going to allow failure or the amount of attempts you have tried to be the okay that, I might as well throw in the towel, at least I tried? No, then try again. Get that education. Go back to school. Go back to the gym. Start eating healthy again. Love like you've never been hurt. What is that saying? You know what I mean? Just step up. Walk it out. And it's time that you failure. Go ahead. Failure. Next time failure wants you to respond to fail it. Let failure be disappointed and let hope arise. Failure. Why? Because there's purpose in you. And it's time you stop acting like you're a failure. And you start acting like you're an overcomer. Because that is exactly who you are.